What we're going to talk about today is the proper installation of the DSF-870, the dedicated shotgun forend, onto a standard Remington 870 pump shotgun. First thing we want to do before we get too far ahead is we want to cover the firearm, point in a safe direction, finger well off the trigger, ensuring the safety is on. You'll hit your action bar release, bringing that to the rear. You want to do a visual and physical inspection on the chamber as well as the magazine to ensure the firearm is empty before we do any kind of breakdown, field stripping, or any installation of any other products. At this point, a couple things to point out. Real straightforward. We're going to do a standard disassembly. You can find that information in your owner's manual for the weapon system. But just to give you a couple visual cues as you're going through this at home, we want to be pretty straightforward. First thing that we need to do is we're going to be removing the magazine cap. I'll need to bring my forend assembly forward so that I can bring the barrel off of the assembly as well as off the receiver. At this point, when I bring the assembly forward, I'm going to press up on my loading gate and I'm going to depress my shell latch on the right and the left hand side. This will bring my forend assembly all the way forward. At this point I can ground the receiver and buttstock. What I can do now is I can bring my breech bolt and slide assembly off, leaving that coupled, placing that on the table. What I'll need to do is within the box you'll actually have a flat piece of steel that's been stamped out. You're going to use the lower angled portion and you're going to slide this in onto the magazine tube assembly into the notch. You can either use a screwdriver, putting that through the slot to loosen, or what you can do is you can use a pair of pliers. So lefty loosey, righty tighty. We're going to loosen that, and then you should be able at that point to do the rest of this by hand. I'm going to unscrew this all the way point where this nut comes off. Once the nut is clear, I can now take the forend assembly out of the forend. At this point, I'll pick up my DSF-870, sliding this onto the forend assembly and pushing this through. Just like how I took it off, I'm going to be putting this back on. So I'm going to take my forend tube nut, drop this in over the top. I'm going to start it by hand with my flat piece of steel. As I screw this in, I'll feel the threads start to grab. Once it gets to the point where I can no longer do this hand tight, I'll then use an assist with either the screwdriver or the pair of pliers. One of the things I do want to be careful of is I want to make sure that my forend tube assembly left and right shell latch is going to be square and in line with the forend itself. I give this a little bit more turn. That is hand tight. I can now give that approximately another quarter turn once I have this tight. And you'll feel it once it engages. Give that a little bit more on that side. One of the reasons why we want to make certain this is tight is under the recoil of the pump shotgun, I don't want this to start getting any kind of movement going forwards and rearwards, so make sure that's nice and tight. Now, I've got my forend installed onto the assembly. What I'll do is I can pick up my bolt assembly that's sitting on top of my slide assembly, and I'm going to lay this right in level. What I'll do now is I'm going to recover my receiver, and I'm going to slide the magazine tube, the protrusion off the receiver, through the assembly. I'm going to bring this to the rear. I'll now have this meet up with the receiver. At this point, just like how I took it apart, I'm going to reach up, still letting gravity work with me, reach up, and I'm going to press on the left and right feed latch until this clears and goes back into the receiver. You'll know that works when you get this locked in. Now you do have to get the bolt to the rear before you can get the barrel on. So what I'll do now is I'm going to hit, now this is captured, so I'm going to be able to press my action bar release, bring this back to about halfway. If I bring it back any further, the supported chamber on the barrel is not going to be able to clear. At this point, pick up my barrel, slide this over the end, make sure that's seated. You'll feel it slide in and it'll be strong. Take my magazine cap I'm going to screw my magazine cap in the front. Now on this one, you'll feel a ratchet, go hand tight. If you use any tools or any kind of other supported option to tighten this down, you won't be able to disassemble it when you need to in the future. Now the big thing after that, now I've got my firearm reassembled. Quick function check to make sure everything's working properly. I'm going to start, again, even though I know 100% this is clear, all guns are always loaded, so I'm going to do my visual and physical inspection again. My function test is this. With the safety on, bring the forend all the way forward. Attempt to press trigger. It should not fire, the safety is on. Next one I'll do is I'm going to take my safety off. I should press the trigger and it should go click. Now keeping the trigger depressed, I'm going to bring my forend all the way to the rear, full action, separate action, bring it all the way forward. Now with that lock forward, I should be able to reset the trigger. Now this is going to designate that it has good trigger reset and it's been properly assembled. And now it's forward and it works. Good. I should be able to re-engage my safety. I'm going to hit my action bar release to bring my action to the rear, all the way back. Now you've got your DSF-870 installed on your Remington 870 pump shotgun.